Welcome back, everybody. You are on the Artificial Intelligence live stream. This is really a stream where we talk to builders, founders, executives who are working on everything from building a new AI company or a division, building foundation models. In the past of this show, we've had everything from generative models, LLM companies, 3D graphics generation, 2D applications to game development, applications to the world, really. So we try to cover everything. I try to get smarter through this, and I do that by bringing in really amazing startup founders who I think are onto something to talk to us about. So my name is Jon Radoff. I'm the one of the co-founders and the CEO of a company called Beamable. We make live services infrastructure. So we're helping game developers with all the back-end crap that you normally have to build yourself or depend on someone like Amazon for. We are decentralizing it and making it easy, whether you're Web 2, Web 3. That's what I do. Part of that has been integrating with pieces of AI. And from very early on, I've been looking at artificial intelligence applications, things like LLM integration to the Beamable platform, things like graphics generation. In fact, a couple of years back, we even published a little Web3 meets AI game where I won't say what game it's inspired from, but we had created a game called Genomon. And Genomon just creates these really cool collectible monster characters as you travel a map, and then it mints it on chain. So we tried to throw it all together. It's a little demo project. You can actually download it online if you look up Beamable Genomon. So that was sort of my own contribution, or I shouldn't say mine. Our CTO really did, all of the actual work. And I said, yeah, that looks good. But we have been dabbling in this for a while. Now, who I've also got here today is Jonah Blake. And this is awesome because I have known Jonah Blake back from the days of Clubhouse. Does anyone even remember Clubhouse? Is Clubhouse even up? I haven't logged into it in a couple of years. I don't know if Clubhouse actually exists anymore, but there was this glorious period of time in the pandemic where we just hung out and I guess we didn't know what to do with our lives. So we just formed these channels and started talking. It was everything from game development to just hanging out. I had something called the Game Industry Cocktail Hour. And I remember Jonah was a regular participant in that. And then we went off to X, went our own ways, and Jonah became a CT personality with many controversial, and to me, actually non-controversial views. They're only controversial because people don't like to hear them, actually. But Jonah has been a great participant, and we've shared a lot of channels back on X Spaces as well. But I'll let Jonah introduce yourself. Jonah, let's just kind of start with your background. Like, what brought you to this point in time? What kind of things have you worked on? And then we'll dive into your new startup, which is using artificial intelligence.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me on. I had more hair back then. The house days, I had a lot more hair. I guess I can't curse on your stream. I almost said a curse word.
No, I can?
The fuck shit.
I was gonna say fuck me. I'm turning 30 this year, which is a shock to me. When I started Clubhouse, I was, I don't know, 24, 25. Anyway, a long time. My background, I started out pretty young. I worked in esports and esports betting originally, right out of college. I helped pass a bill into law in the state of Ohio for esports betting around the time that passed, but was reversed. I helped a public company do this. That's how I kind of got my break. And prior to that, I worked in live streaming, which is actually pretty funny. It's a full 360. Now I'm running a live streaming company and startup. But I was working on RSS feeds, RTMP feeds, and then selling live content, and then putting ad packages together with like the Fords, the PNGs, the Geicos of the world. And the whole goal of that operation and the company I worked with as a contractor was to assess potential sponsorship sizes, limits, ads that people who watch live events digitally could entertain or engage with. Chris, it's good. Chris, it's been a long time, Chris. I can see the comments here. That's good. So yeah, and then after that, in the gambling, I started a small fund called Game Fund Partners, about 5 million AUM, give or take. It's pretty small, but it was my first fund. We did a bunch of SPVs. We're in Epic Games, a part of a company in Sweden, among other assets. Done pretty well. I can't complain. And then from there, I started a little podcast on Twitter. This was after Clubhouse ended, which is called Real Third Web. Third Web, that's actually how I got in touch with Third Web, the big company, was they thought I was stealing their name. We ended up becoming great friends. But I had hundreds of guests, you included, John. I've had everyone from leaders of multi-billion-dollar banks to the chief strategy officer of Microsoft to the average degenerate on crypto Twitter. And by accident, I formed an agency called Real Agency because of that show, where people wanted to like get my opinions and they said they would pay for it. And that went from one client to the next. And then I had over 20 clients, did everything from tokenomics to go-to-market to creator acquisition to helping companies raise money. Did very well on that. And then secretly, about 8 or 9 months ago, almost 9 now, I realized that agencies are going to die completely, like go extinct. Maybe not this year, maybe not next year, maybe not even the year after, but by the end of this decade, agencies will probably go out of business. They won't exist in the way that they do today. I had this realization just, we're running a very successful agency, very profitable, money is good. But I just had this realization working with AI, and I'm like, well, blue collar work is going to be fine and executives are going to keep making money. Well, who's going to be left out? And that's going to be middle managers. And by definition,
capital allocators and the guy who's my plumbing are good.
Right. Those people are going to be fine. Yeah. In fact, the plumbers are going to be multimillionaires. If I had to redo my life, like if I were born again, I'd probably go into trade school. Like, quite frankly, I mean, like those people are going to make a lot of money.
It's going to take a while before the robots can just move in and do that. It's such a
no, they're not. They're like, even if it happens in 20 years, there's still 20 years of career that you can build. That's still 20 years of making real money. But
they'll be so rich by then, they'll be the owners of the robots anyway, and their businesses.
They're still gonna have to legally manage them anyway. Someone's gonna have to sign off and say this bot is maintained appropriately. Like, you're not gonna let a bot do heart surgery if there's not a technician who has knowledge in cardiology and robotics. Like, that's going to be a multi-million-dollar a year job. So
yeah. But Jonah, can we double click on the agencies going out of business? Just take me through that thesis before we get into your startup, because it sounds like it's a big part of
yeah, it's why I decided to do this, because my thought was, if I don't do this, someone else will, because that's how business is, dog eat dog, right? It's pretty simple. The best agent is now the algorithm, right? Like, maybe not for Twitch, which is why we're building this, and maybe not for Kick or other live streams where discovery is still very unoptimized. But if you want the best content, you're probably going to find that on TikTok, let's say 80% of the time, 70, 80%, because the algorithm is so good that it knows what you want before you even thought about it, right? And it's the same thing for every other platform. Everyone else has copied TikTok into doing this carousel, buffet of content mode. And that kind of leaves like, okay, well, now agencies don't handle discovery, so maybe they handle deals. And at the top tier, like the 0.1% of creators, that is still going to be the case because they're very custom deals. But for the average creator, you've got TikTok Shop, you've got like 20 other marketplaces that are self-serve, and now you can use a marketplace to directly get paid and work with content in Web 2. And so, okay, well, now agencies don't handle the deals so much. So, okay, do they handle live events? Well, not really, because those agencies are now content creator networks. FaZe Clan, you could argue, is an events business, actually. Like, you could argue AMP is an events business, right? What does Kai Cenat or FaZe Banks do? They hold parties, they hold events, they hold galas. And so now there's very few things within the business of agency that isn't already cut out by some other direct party that already has the other services that you don't. And so you can either wait for that to eventually consume you and you get absorbed by another operation that's not an agency, or you're at the top 1%, like a CAA or a Night Media, or you just wait to die, or you pivot. And so for me, I'm making over 7 figures a year. It's a great business, very happy. But I can see in the next 3 years that those revenues are going to decelerate very quickly, because If I do content marketing for a living, AI is doing a lot of that. And so the company that I've built, we spent the last 8 or 9 months building it, is our own custom algorithm, our own proprietary algorithm for live streams. That is not dependent on Twitch, not dependent on Kick, not dependent on any of them, but does operate on top of them. So in many ways, we actually help them grow. We're not parasitic in the sense that we take from the ecosystem. In fact, we're building a tool that makes their ecosystem even better. And so what we've done is we've created a live stream algorithm that is canvassing your category. So let's say Jon Radoff, what's a game you like as an example?
Baldur's Gate 3.
Okay, perfect. Let's say that you want to be a content creator and you want to use Twitch and you want to stream Baldur's Gate 3. So what you're going to do is you're going to do a category, the Baldur's Gate 3 category, because every game has a Twitch category. There's no cost to that. Twitch does that for indexing. So you're going to stream on Baldur's Gate 3, and there's a couple of options for you to grow as a creator. Either one, you're Asmon Gold, which is like super outlier, on the fringe, very political, says things that can be outlandish, but sometimes agreed upon, and you've been around for like 20 years. So that's one option, right? And that's like the really hard path. Like there's only one Asmon Gold, right? So the next option that you have is, okay, I'm going to join a creator organization. That's certainly an option if you're growing, but you're very dependent on if the other creators want to work with you, want to talk with you, and want to discover with you. This is how most IRL creators grow, is they join organizations to get, I'm reading some of the comments, they're quite funny, to get like buffer. Yes, that is the code. But the new option is, without spending any real money, I have a score that's watching you in real time. It takes your chat log. It takes what you're saying live on stream in real time. It takes the audio sound, like what are the decibels. It takes a bunch of other factors into our equation, and we call it a hype score. And when Jon gets killed by a bear in Baldur's Gate 3 and he screams but into the mic by accident, the AI is recognizing that, shows that your threshold surpassed the number that we put on there. And then the AI is interacting with the Twitch API and then clipping that content for you and delivering it right into your inbox. And it won't just do that for Twitch. It's going to do that for many apps. We've already talked to a bunch. But this means you're saving thousands of dollars a month on editors. You're also generating like 700 clips a month at under $1 per clip, which is like even Filipino and Indian workers can't compete with that. Like my AI can compete with Southeast Asia work. And the reason I say that is most editors are from Southeast Asia because they're really high quality and they charge less. So I can go into it, but we built an algorithm where we can build a number of creator economy products on top of it with AI doing automation.
Okay. I see so many questions in the chat, by the way, about the code. I'm glad you guys are so engaged. We're talking about attention, basically. We're going to
What did they get for that code, by the way?
What do you get? You get to go up our leaderboard. We have an airdrop, a airdrop competition, and people have to turn into live streams. They actually have to be engaged with the content as opposed to spam like Yapio on the last weekend and just like put it everywhere. So we're trying some new things. Seems to be working, and our community is great. So we love all of you who are tuning into this live and being part of this. So I haven't given out the code yet. So everybody who's like, I fell asleep for 3 minutes, or like, have they given out the code?
Don't worry. It's the average farmer. It doesn't
what he
bother
said
me.
was the code is not the code. We will give you the code. We're doing a little bit of operant conditioning to speak about game design, which is sometimes it's way in the beginning of the program and you missed, and you did in fact miss out if you weren't there 5 minutes in. Sometimes it's 5 minutes before the end. Sometimes it's right in the middle. So you got to just stay tuned. Who knows when it is? But Jonah, you've attracted 700 people in here so far, so we get a lot of people.
Pretty good.
Out what you're doing probably doesn't compete to the streams on Twitch for Baldur's Gate 3, is my guess, but it's good for AI and tech and things like that. So if I understand sort of, I'm going to try to like net out my understanding of the algorithm, and I hope I captured enough of it. But your thesis starts with, okay, you have to maximize the attention with the right audiences, essentially. And the best way to do that is algorithmic. And therefore, AI is going to optimize around whatever the best algorithm is at any given time to find that audience with the best ROI.
Well, we can do that, but that's not what our thing specializes in. We can do that. Our algorithm does have the ability. So what you said is possible. Like someone could pay for our subscription and purely use it as a data point like Sensor Tower, and then just get like really great data on streamers in real time beyond just Twitch stats. Absolutely, we can do that. I mean, but that's just like a byproduct of the actual sauce. But what we do is Jon Radoff wants to be a content creator. Jon, in this world, you're not now, but in this world, you're broke. Okay, you're a content creator who's broke, wants to make it in the digital Hollywood that we have, and you need clips, because the only way that live streamers get discovered is through clipping, which is what every streamer does in order to get discovered on TikTok, YouTube, and get people to their streams. Because you have a funnel where stream is bottom funnel, but you have no top of funnel mind share. So you need different tools in order to bring people to that live stream. The most popular is clipping. So to do that, we are reading and watching your stream in real time whenever you're streaming. And based on your score that we have running in real time, like you'll see it on our site, when you hit a certain number, the AI determines that that is a clip worth clipping. It'll take it from your stream and send it to you rather than an editor doing it. On average, editors cost $1,000, $2,000 a month to do this. They're called mods, or they're called editors, and small streamers don't have access to this. Only the big streamers do, right? And then you still need an editor to make the clip funny and interesting, like memeify it, gamify it. So we're reducing that cost significantly by at least 50%, if not more. Because
I get it.
You could pay 75 if you're a creator. Business is a different cost because we have different stuff. If we charge you 75 a month as a creator, that is $925 less than you're paying an editor per month to do it in human, and we output like 5 times more clips than a human could do because it's always on.
All right, yeah, I need a version of this right now, basically, because I need to spam clips from this stream that we're on right now. We're not talking about anything as cool as Baldur's Gate 3, though. We're talking about like nerdy AI.
It doesn't need to be just a game. That's version 1. We've been working on 2 new additions to the algorithm already. One we call creator fingerprinting. Do you know what a Myers-Briggs test is?
Yep. Of course.
Okay, so that's like the normie way of me explaining this. So, for example, the guy said that he's sleeping listening to me. Well, I mean, that's true. I'm a monotone creator. I've already known this. So just because I'm monotone doesn't mean there aren't good clips to find. So in this test, the algorithm can determine that I'm the signal of a bookworm, for example, low monotone, but has a captured audience interesting. So instead of my threshold being 50, the level 50, which you might have if you're yelling or screaming or being very active, mine might be 15, but that doesn't mean that my content isn't any different or better than yours, better or less. So eventually we're working on creator fingerprinting, which we're working on right now, where we can fingerprint each creator and create hype scores based on how they make content to give them even better clips and potential for targeting. The second thing we're doing is queues. And this is already, we pretty much know how to do this already. It's just time it takes to build. But let's say, who's a client of Beamable? What's a game client that you can make an example of?
Mythical Games.
Perfect. So let's say Pudgy Party, right? Let's say that they were doing they're mobile, but let's, for the sake of this, say they're doing a live stream activation. So Mythical is going to come to us, and I'm going to request their audio files. I want the sound of a victory, the sound of a loss, the sound of a Pudgy getting hit in the stomach, and he makes like a little squeak, right? Whatever sounds we think could have a dopamine reaction, like a game design reaction, right? We're going to get those files, give it to our algorithm, and now it'll also clip direct sounds that it can hear from your stream based on you playing that game to get even more precise clips. So we're working on those 2 new iterations by version 2. Version 1 is already ready. We're just cleaning up the site and moving servers.
All right, cool. Well, are we going to be able to take a look at this? Because I see some comments coming in. And hey, we've even got someone on Twitch here. Thanks, Downey, for tuning in. Usually, like I was guessing we had between 0 and 1 people on Twitch. I stream there because it's easy to, but I don't really have a Twitch audience. Maybe I can build one if I use
this. Won't be your Twitch. We're going to start with Twitch, but we're in discussion with Pump Fun, and we're in discussion with Abstract, and we will do this for Kick because Kick has this Kick has a good API as well. It's going to be on multiple channels, and then if Nikita Beer ever decides, I'm going to show the demo. It's not totally working right now because we're working on a new score for the chat function. I was telling John this before the podcast, but by the end of this week, people should be able to subscribe on our wait list because we're integrating a few things. But we don't want this to just be for Twitch. Twitch is just the easiest. And John, you're technical. I'm a Neanderthal, right? So I'm like the idea guy, and you're the cyber guy, right? But I think you'll find that the Twitch API is the best API in the business for games and creator economy. It has the cleanest documentation. It has the most permissions and flexibility. And so it was just logical to do this on Twitch first.
Makes sense.
So that won't be just Twitch. So
we lost Oscar here somewhere, but so I'm now going to be taking. Oh, Oscar's coming back in. You almost had to tolerate me being the one to control the camera. Hey, Oscar, the time and space was actually starting to unravel in real time as you left the stream. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I was morphing.
I apologize. The universe is part over here as well.
And thanks, Crypto, for asking for the demo. We are going to dive into one. But
yes, the stream is not going to work live on this because my current co-founder and CTO is working on the chat scoring. We're doing some tailoring right now. And if I turn that on, then he can't work on the server. So I want this out by the end of the week. So you're just going to see what it looks like. And then I'll show you the videos. We're going to do one thing we're going to do for marketing is I'm going to go back into live streaming by the end of this week. And so we're going to use me as the dummy test if we can grow a boring creator like myself into growing a big channel on Web2. So I'm going to be the part of the dummy test. But I will show you what it looks like. Let me just present.
And everyone, by the way, be like Crypto, ask questions here because this is why we do this live. We love all of you who show up live and participate, not just for that code, hasn't come yet. We're going to get the code out. But the other reason, other than watching live and getting the code during that 2-minute window, is you get to ask questions. And Jonah,
let me know when you're ready, by the way. I'm just going to switch to because I know you have to switch on the back end.
Yeah, let's go.
Okay, cool. Can you see my screen?
Let's see. Are you? Nope, you're not presenting.
It says I am.
I think we have to add it to the
One
stage.
second. Here
there
we
you go. Okay, can you see my screen?
There we go. Yep.
All right, so just so you know how this is like the front page, we'll make it prettier over time, but we got to run the market. That's how it works. Just for subscription, someone asked, is there a subscription? Yes, there's 2 ways actually, because we realize not all creators can afford this. One is you can do it within an organization. So this is my organization. So the way it works is if you work for a company or a brand is sponsoring you, they can give you access to their subscription as a part of like a seat system. So you don't have to necessarily pay for it directly if you can't. Now, this is what the stream page will look like. Keep in mind, this is all just like getting cleaned up, but I'll show you what one of the clips looked like when we did an AI clip. But how it's going to work is based on category and based on the subscription you have. And yes, it will be subscription based. You type in the streamer's name based on the dates, which you want live, and then you'll click one. This is not going to come up because again, the server is being retuned. So it'll come up with no clip available. But just to show you an example of what it looks like, this is one we had. AI made this clip entirely. We did not make this clip. Might take a second to load because he's working on the server. Okay, so I think, yeah, he's working on the server. Yeah, see, failed it. Okay, so I have to show you guys on a different stream. Annoying. This is why he's got to work on the server. So I'm going to show you the campaigns page. This is going to be in version 2, but since I can't show you the streams at this podcast, I can show you later today. We're building an ad network system for brands to create clipping campaigns and content campaigns based on these streams. And by the way, we have whitelist and blacklist function. So if there's creators you want to prioritize in the algorithm, we can do that. At the same time, if you want to blacklist a creator, like you don't like working with them or they're not working for you, you can unlist them. But how campaigns work is you're going to fill out a campaign, the prize pool. We take a small part of that prize pool. Brands creators don't need to pay for this. And then here's what the back end will look like for brands and businesses. And then I'm going to show you what it looks like for customers. It looks really cool. You have your submissions, your prizes, your analytics, and that's how your campaigns work on this site. Now, what's important is how does that look for a consumer? So right now we actually built our own wallet. It's already approved on the Google Chrome store called Sploot Extension. Can you see my screen here?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So we built our own content creator wallet. That's what we call it. So if you see streams here, and let's say, again, just for the sake of making sure we have something to show, if you see this clip in your inbox, either from the brand, oh, this is, okay, so he fixed the server refresh. This is AI made this clip. A human didn't make this clip. And it's about 60 seconds. Every video is 60 seconds look back. And so the way it works is if you like the clip, you can click this, and this should work. It takes about 15 seconds. We're improving. We have to improve our server for this to go faster. But you basically ingest that clip, and it'll show up in your downloads, and then it's yours. In version 2 of this, when you click this, there will be a signing page because we'll have offer walls where we can turn this into Shutterstock, where you can sell your clips or your videos to other brands so they can turn them into advertising. So let's say this guy, Blue Silver Beagle, thinks this clip is worth $10. He agrees to this. He puts up his price, and then he signs a document giving the licensing rights, and then, oh, it already downloaded. And then a brand can buy that clip and then use it for their advertising and download it. But anyway, for clipping campaigns, and not just clipping campaigns, because this competes with WAP, but for videos as well, because we're also going to reward videos, not just live streams. A consumer will just have their wallet. We'll have it on site too eventually. And they're going to have 3 options. For creators, offer wall. This is like our version of Honey. We just haven't implemented it yet. And then just wallet history. We'll have referrals as well. But we can take what's happening on this site and turn them into bounties through this campaign list. And here's one of the few campaigns we're activating now. We're just getting it all set up. But we'll have what the campaign is, what like the terms are, the top videos and earnings. And then when the campaign ends, you're going to upload that video to one of these social media networks, then submit. And then after you get approved from your submission, meaning you get approved and the video is deemed not NSFW or other factors that we'll have in the campaign, you'll get paid like anywhere from $2 to $5 to $10 to even $20 for just getting approved. So even if you don't win the event, you're still getting paid to make videos, which that doesn't work that way on WAP currently. We're also changing up these prize pools so that way it's more balanced and fair. But now we have a rewards and wallet system. In about a month, we're going to integrate Privy. So this function will be operational, where you're going to get this in the form of stable coins, and you can take it out of your wallet into any other wallet you want, or directly to your bank account, probably using the Stripe API. And so, yeah, that's what we've been building. It's been a lot of work, 9 months, but it's going to be a self-service way to live stream and have clips, get rewarded for making videos, for advertisers to make bids in our system, and to reach and discover creators. And we'll have new things to gamify creator discovery, because we want creators to make as much money as possible in our ecosystem.
Cool. So I have a bunch of questions about like the target streaming platforms that you're supporting, because you mentioned Twitch for the elegance of their API, but not necessarily for where you see things scaling up. And I'd love you to comment on where you see that activity and why some of those other platforms were you chose. Before we get to that, I have a super relevant code. Yes, that's right. I'm now going to release the code because it's relevant to the question. The code now is STREAM. Okay, that's spelled STREAM. And we're going to put that on the screen, and you'll be able to see that, STREAM, or I don't know, Oscar's bouncing on and off. So you're going to have to spell it on your own, folks. STREAM. You go.
I hope they can spell stream.
Type / well, we got a worldwide audience here. Not
okay, true. Yeah.
So
my American imperialism is showing.
But we'll also post it in the comments, so you'll be able to see it there. In fact, let me do that. There, Crypto, thank you. So Crypto did us the favor. Here we go. Crypto, thanks. We now have it on the screen. Thank you for posting it in the comments that we can replicate it on the screen. So if you go to /claim in our Discord server for Beamable Network, you can claim the reward for today. So thanks for watching, but keep watching. We got over 1,000 people live on the stream. So people are thinking this is cool, or they think you're cool, Jonah. I think
I don't know about that. I think
they probably want to hear you burn someone to the ground during this.
Well, I've already done that enough. And they're burning themselves to the ground. I don't even have to do it anymore. So
you just watch.
I've already AI automated that. So I'm on to the next thing.
Right. But the streaming platforms, talk to us about that. Like, let's start high level. The streaming business today is broken into what players, and who do you see as growing, who's not growing, what's interesting, who is changing the game, and where are you going to focus?
Yeah, I mean, the top three, and then the fourth being a caveat just because it's so massive, is Twitch, Kick, and TikTok. And then the fourth being YouTube, because YouTube could be the biggest, but they don't want to be because it eats into their video ad business. It's not worth the money for them to do it. That's why YouTube could do it. They have to show that it looks like they want to, but it's not in their economic interest to do it based on their current model. Who will be the best? I don't know. That's not what I think about, because my business is not built to decide who's the best streaming platform or not. My platform is built for creators to get discovered and make money, and for brands to work with creators to get organic ads and organic mind share on social media. And I kind of think of every social media like a fashion brand. Sometimes Gucci's in style. Sometimes it's, I'm not that into fashion. I don't know, Supreme. I'm trying to think of things that people wear. I wear whatever I see. Downey said, can AI recognize a creator's signature editing style like cut, rhythm, filters, sound effects? No, that's not what we do. So there is a software that does do that. It's called Opus. They're fantastic. We're not focused on the editing of the clips. We're focused on the speed of grabbing and cutting those clips for an editor to take in. So one thing we may do is, let's say you have a Sploot subscription, so you can get hundreds of clips a month, and then you could feed that into Opus, and we'll may have like an extension to go into Opus, and then the Opus clips can then automate the editing for you. So think of us as like the factory, and think of Opus as like the tailor shop. We are trying to be the big factory that can generate those products quickly for tailors to then turn into fashionable pieces of digital product.
As you look back at this 9-10 month journey that you've been building all of this, what were the hard problems that you had to solve through that?
Will anyone care?
Yeah.
I think that's the hardest problem.
Okay. Yeah. Will your target market care?
Yeah. Will my target market care? Who are my competitors, and can I beat them at cost? Is this a trend over 5 years that will grow? Because you don't build a business that only has a 1-year trend line. You have to build at the minimum 5 to 10. And right, you have to ask yourself, will live streaming be around in 5 to 10 years? My thesis has been yes, because it's the hardest thing to turn into complete AI. And it's not because of technological, it has to do with resource cost, right? It costs a tremendous amount of compute to make one video on VO3, right? So imagine if you're doing that with thousands of frames over an 8-hour period, you need multiple nuclear reactors from Amazon, and it's just not worth that cost. If they had that many reactors, they would put it towards more optimized software. And so I separate the internet now into two different things, which is dead internet and live internet. Dead internet is basically TikTok. It's going to be videos that dead doesn't mean bad. Like that's something that's a misconception. Dead means the type of entertainment is very artificial, and that's accepted, right? It's artificial internet, maybe that's a better way to say it, versus live internet. I call it the final internet. And the final internet is when you try and make internet look as close to real life as possible, because you yearn for real life in your media. And you see this with, like, doesn't mean they're actually real, but you see this with live streaming. You see this with Love Island. We see this with Big Brother. You see this with the Real Housewives, where even though it's not necessarily real, they crave the feeling or the concept that they're engaging in a live interaction. And that's why live streams continue to grow, because people feed on parasocial relationships with their content, and they want to feel like they're there and that they're a part of this friend group. And so it made sense to me logically that this would be the best thing to target as a technology. In terms of issues, building an algorithm is fucking hard. That's really hard. And getting a co-founder to believe that your thesis is correct is really fucking hard. Luckily, I have that. I haven't raised any money yet. I've been doing this at my own cost. So I took the profits I made from my agency and I invested my own capital into building this. So, you know, will we raise a seed round? Maybe. I've certainly had those discussions, but I wanted to build something with the capital that I earned with my hard-earned time and intellect. And so that can be stressful because, you know, it's not like with VC money where, oh, you're delayed by a month. Okay, well, we got enough runway. It's like, well, no, if you're delayed by a couple weeks, you may be entitled to getting fucked and going back to doing something else. And then the other thing is, and this is for me as a creator, because I started as a creator, is missing a lot of opportunities that could make me a lot of immediate money, right? Like if I focused on making tweets and making tweet videos and talking about Kaito bullshit or this or that, you know, it'd make me a lot of money. And I am definitely sacrificing that ease of opportunity to try and build something that maybe could be a lot more. Maybe not. I could also completely fail. That's possible.
So you could have been trying to get to the top of the Yapio leaderboard last week.
They're making, well, not Yapio, but Kaito, you know, those guys, you know, they're making 150, 200K a year just saying nonsense. I don't think people realize how much money they're making. It's insane.
Isn't that what the dead internet really is, though? Like, to me, I've been in a bunch of these dead internet conversations recently, and really what the thesis of that is that at some point the internet is going to be overwhelmingly bots talking to each other. My counter argument to it is, okay, maybe, but we're also going to have our own agents that work on our behalf and kind of act as a filter and kind of gather information for us. So at least it'll be somewhat intermediated by our own preferences. What
I don't know if we can stop that, because I do believe that'll happen, but I don't believe people in the end will want that. At least not. There's still going to be, I mean, everything on the internet is gamified now. So everything's like a game. So it's not really about what's real or what's not necessarily. It's about what gives you the most like energy, what gives you like the most release of endorphins, dopamine, whatever your trust, love, romance, all the emotions that people experience. And bots are really only good at anger and pretend happy. Like bots are not good at enough emotions to evoke in people yet. They're starting to, and that's when things will get weird. Like you've seen these AI chatbot girlfriends where people are so lonely that they feel like this bot knows them and is like their lover, and then OpenAI updates the software code and their memory is gone, right? It's almost like you killed the person. Like that's when things are going to get really weird, but I don't know. I don't know if everyone wants that.
I've been accumulating a lot of memories in my, I'm an OpenAI user that has whatever that high level subscription. You like Deep Research, which is a super useful tool, but it has so many memories on me at this point. It's kind of uncanny. I do feel like I'm having a conversation with someone who's pretty familiar with like my issues, but that could be because I'm on ChatGPT like 20 times a day at this point. Like,
right.
But
everyone is going to be, so.
Yeah. What?
Oscar,
sorry,
what you're saying,
I'll let you come in. Or you're not in freeze frame. You're not AI, are you, Oscar?
Well, actually, I am. No, well,
that today.
It's been a horrible day of connectivity. I don't really worry too much about dead internet, or less like forming parasocial relationships with bots that tune themselves to you, because people are already doing that with their TikTok fetishization of, you know, people that they don't know. We form these connections with, you know, whether it's Kai Cenat or used to be PewDiePie or whoever. Like, we're looking for a way to feel that we have wasted our time valuably, and we form parasocial relationships. It won't be any different, I think, with a useful little bot that either stokes your ego or collects your, you know, whatever these things are going to do. They're going to be your agent, and you might find yourself in a very, very intimate relationship with these things, but that's just nature of us looking at clouds and seeing faces.
Right. It's an interesting Rorschach test, consequences. But yeah, I don't know. I used to think about what the future would be like in 10 years. I'd always think that. And everything that we weren't sure was going to happen ever has happened in the last 5 years. And you know what? There's a game that I keep going back to. So, back, I'm going to make a joke. Back in your day, John, the piece
Back
of
in
media, yeah, the piece of media that was a foreshadowing of the world was Idiocracy, right?
yes.
So I've experienced that now with my form of media. It happens to be Cyberpunk 2077. And that sounds crazy because it's so far future. But if you look at a lot of the themes and the things that exist in that world, they're not far off from what we're getting into now. For example, one of the things that they obsess over is this idea of something even bigger than the porn industry in that world. It's called brain dancing. And what happens is you relive the memories that you've had or someone else's memories, and it creates this insane rush like a drug. We're getting that now. You have these new Gaussian effects with videos where you can take a video of something that you did in your past and probably at the end of this year, you put on a VR headset and live that memory. Like I don't know if you have kids, but do you have kids? Okay. So
Yes.
if you took your kids to Disney World and now they're in college and they're all grown up and you as a father miss them or something, right? Like it's entirely real and now possible that you could put on your Oculus or whatever they call it now, MetaQuest, relive that day that you took your kids to Disney for the first time with vivid memory. And maybe you're not doing so well in life. You want to sell a couple extra bucks and you sell that memory to someone who doesn't have kids, who wants to feel what it's like to have had a kid. That is all within the span of this decade, right? There's things that it's just insane.
Well, I mean,
That's that movie. That's that movie, Strange Days, where people would actually record their brains and then they would relive those and they'd get addicted to their good memories.
I mean, literally Star Wars, for example, was like force push, right? We don't have midichlorians or whatever the hell George Lucas decided it would be in episode 1, which is ridiculous. It's supposed to be space magic. But the whole thing is technically we have force push now. If you have a Neuralink chip and you're playing Call of Duty with your brain, or you have a Neuralink chip and there's another Tesla chip and you could go like this, like force push, and now your car moves a couple of inches across. So we have, and then SocialFi is literally decentralized credit scores that will affect your bank and your history. We have that right now with Ethos on chain, right? Which is DeFi. And they're totally, we're getting peer-to-peer insurance and peer-to-peer lending. So if you didn't sell your CryptoPunk and it's in foreclosure and your social credit's down on your DeFi, then maybe you can't get a loan for that house you wanted. So all the stuff that Cyberpunk talks about and that feels very futuristic, it already exists today. I saw a stream, a girl named Michaela has a pet robot that she takes around streams and they play with it, right? This is all stuff that people thought would be in 2050 and we're doing this in 2025. And so I don't know what next year is going to look like because I certainly didn't expect half the things that happened this year, if not most of them.
Well, certainly if you just look at the quality of generative video now is insane. And I don't think anyone would have believed that what we have in generative video was possible 5 years ago. There were probably some people, for example, at Google, DeepMind, and places like that, where they were so close to it, they could kind of see the trajectory. But if you asked any sort of quote unquote normie 5 years ago, will you be able to just throw a text prompt into a website and it'll give you a video clip that's like Super Bowl ad quality for some section of content?
No, it wasn't expected.
No one would have believed that 5 years ago. They'd be like,
literally. So here's an example of that, by the way. Here's an example of that because I've done video AI because I have a team that knows how to do it really well because prompting is a whole part of it, context prompting. We've done it for a couple of big companies and did their AI commercials. We just kind of do it quietly. And last week, you could not make a VO3 commercial with consistency. This week, they added image recognition. So in the span of 7 days, I can go from a music video, because that's the only thing that works consistently, or a voiceover video, to literally today, in the span of 7 days, I can now create narrative commercials with screenwriting and consistent characters. They don't look perfect yet, but that's in 1 week. So what is it going to be in 7 months? I don't know.
One of the very first streams we had in this stream for the AI live stream was a founder named Tejas Kulkarni. Maybe Oscar can find the link to the previous episode, but he's working on 3D generative models, and he thinks eventually, while the video stuff we do right now is really great because it sort of compresses a lot of logic into these generative outputs, eventually we'll get to a point of the AI will figure out how to have real world models, meaning physics is present within the underlying understanding of the model. And it seems like we're actually quite close to it. Like he's working on 3D generative models right now. And
the only software that's close to that from I've seen publicly is a VR game that's like very well known, because they had to build a new engine from scratch where every object has a physics system behind it. Forgetting the game, it's something Bones. Forgetting it. Anyway, it's like Meta bought the company because of how good it was, or they have a big investment in it, because Meta wants to be like object reality developer. So the idea would be AI can generate a world, and then the presets can allow for certain physics, and now you can have multiple VR experiences without ever buying a game. We can talk about that. I can talk about why I left Web3 gaming and why I think gaming is completely fucked right now, and probably will be for many years. I can talk about that.
Preview it tomorrow. Will, by the way, for people who are interested in Web3 gaming, we have Diff from Gigaverse on tomorrow. He's going to tell us why it's all alive and wonderful, and we have some customers who are succeeding in it actually. But Jonah,
gaming itself, like there will be games that succeed, but the general industry is completely screwed. And this is why another reason I moved to AI is you have two options. Either one, generative AI actually does create games at a frame-by-frame basis inside the AI, which is already extremely expensive, but right now isn't really that possible, but it's getting there. You're starting to see it. And so what happens is VCs are like, oh, okay, well, I can invest in this game now, and it'll take 5 years to develop, or I can hold my money for 5 years and wait to see where AI generative gaming is in 5 years. And so that means there's no more capital for AAA games aside from like the Tencents of the world. So there's no more VC. It's gone. And I also think VC will be extinct in 5 years, but that's a whole other thing. I think no more VCs will exist. I think that's gone. I think that anyone who's raising their LPs now is probably raising for the last fund they'll ever do in their life.
Tell me more about that. And by the way, people who are out there asking about a question, Tech Talks, you're asking, where can I ask a question? You did. You just asked a question. So
yeah, if you post it, I can read it.
See you. King 7up answered your question. Thanks, King 7up. Just ask your question in the chat. That's how you do it. It's a live program. We bring your questions on screen. So you got Jonah here. He's got opinions on everything from the imminent extinction event of venture capital to the collapse of the game industry to, I don't know, we're all in our own private Idaho in a VR bubble that's just generated for us.
Well,
but tell me about the VC extinction event. Is that just because AI will be a better capital allocator than VC was? In which case, why wouldn't we just give some money to AI and it functions as a VC in that model?
So for two reasons, I'm going to do what comedians call a look back or a callback. It's a famous callback. You're cutting out a little bit there, but I think you can hear me. So when I first started this show with you, John, I said that I think agencies are dead. You asked me why. I said they're middlemen. And I said middlemen are dead. And so what is a VC? It's a middleman. It's a complete middleman, because they're not. Most VC firms are not the actual capital allocators. They're just effectively really good analysts that are deploying capital on behalf of an LP. For LP means limited partner in VC land, and crypto means liquidity pool. But in VC land, it means limited partner. And the reason is again, algorithms are deciding what gets funded or not, what gets discovered or not. And so VCs were meant to be tastemakers and people that signaled the value of the capital. And I think you're going to have, like, again, the top echelon will still exist, but anyone who wants to start a fund now, it's pretty much persona non grata, because you give Cluey as an example. Cluey can make a crazy commercial on Twitter, plus using AI to build an MVP that gets them customers before they ever need to talk to a VC. Now they'll still take VC because they want to scale fast and absorb the market. But what does that look like 5 years from now? Because right now, Windsurf or any of these other IDEs for AI code can make you a simple app relatively easily if you follow the steps. What happens in what happens in 5 years when we progress with these AI models, which seem to grow every quarter, and now you can make apps that are as good as the next VC thing that was raised for $20 million. And that's why I think VC is going to be kind of screwed in the next few years.
I mean, 5 years does seem like a reasonable time frame to kind of scope that in. It's just what scares me is not that there's an exponential exponential is the wrong word, but it. Oh, can you hear me?
You're both cutting out.
Oh, I don't know what's going on. It might be the internet. Am I totally like?
No, you're getting better. Yeah, it just goes.
The internet's needs to fix the internet.
Yeah, no, there's something going on a global scale. It's no, I just find that 5 years is always a safe bet for things totally being weird. But the scary thing is that sometimes it'll be 5 weeks. So it's just really hard to prognosticate, with any kind of clarity.
Well, I say 5 years because the people who've raised LP now usually have anywhere from 3 to 10 technically, but 3 to 7 years to close out their deals, get their money back, deliver it to LPs. And so I think this is the final LP raise. One of the final, unless you're Andreessen or Paradigm, like the top of the top. If you're a middle level VC, you're in your final end state. Because as John was saying, we have AIs that can allocate capital better than VCs now. Like they're already getting there. It's just that they don't have like a reputation yet. VCs used to be used for network effects, but now you can reach anyone in the world with social media and a good video and good content. VCs used to have better deals than like growth camps, Y Combinator. Like these combinators tend to have now the best deals because business founders want to hang out with each other in like this pseudo fraternity environment. So if VC does exist, it'll probably look like a large community where being a founder is just a type of content, and then AI is deploying investments.
Well, I mean, how do you feel about, AI powered C-suites or an AI powered like practical for all intents and purposes? They're the decision making, a chorus of well-informed bots, a cloistered group of people. Is that a potential like outcome of all this, or will the people in the C-suite always prefer not to investigate that field?
I think probably that's like 30 to 50 years from now. The only reason I think that is not because we couldn't do it in the next 10 years. It's because the legal around it is difficult, because we don't, like, this is in the far future, like robots don't have rights. They're not, they're technically, however we deem it, inanimate. And we actually don't have, I don't know, we don't have a proper way to measure what is consciousness even now, technically. Like, yeah. You could argue, if you're a real hippie and you take acid, you could argue that the trees and the leaves are alive because, like, scientifically they are, and they could be conscious because there's something called like tree spacing, where trees in the forest won't try to touch each other so they don't interact with each other's food. So like there's all these things that you could determine consciousness or life. But we don't have that for machines, and someone has to be legally liable until law is also actually code. So I don't know.
I don't know. It seems like so cliche to say, like it sounds so Black Mirror, but speculative fiction always tends to wind up becoming practical reality.
There's a very funny meme where I'm trying to remember the whole meme because I'm gonna botch it, but I saw it on Twitter like about 2 years ago and it stuck with me, and it was like, this book is about man-made horrors beyond human comprehension. And then a tech CEO is like, wow, that's a really good idea. And then makes man-made horrors beyond human comprehension. Yeah. So it's funny.
Hey, John, you back?
I'm lagging out, and I seem to be max headroom right now. I'm not actually AI, but I seem like a version of AI in the 1980s. And I can't explain this. I don't know what's going on. Maybe it's StreamYard.
Well, no, it
is
happened
what
to
it
me
is.
too, so I'll just leave it there. Yeah.
I think you heard enough of me.
Yeah, no, it was a great program. We're coming up on the hour, and just as the internet is exploding, we might, in fact, be just witnessing the end of the internet as we know it here. We might be moving into
You know,
dead
I'll be
internet.
broke, but I'll have more hair. I'll be relaxed. So
Yeah, I mean, the bots might have taken over. We've reached the tipping point where they are all the bandwidth on the internet, and humans are now going to be deprioritized. So that's where we are. Jonah, this is a really super interesting program. We could talk about this for hours. I wish I wasn't having internet implosion, but why don't you just tell people where they can go to learn more about your platform? And let's get it on the screen here, because I think that we have a lot of folks here in the audience out of the 1,500 people that tuned in that are going to be curious about it.
yeah, if you want to join as a consumer and be on the wait list and like kind of reach out to us, the best way is to download the Sploot extension on the Chrome store. It'll be Sploot extension. That's all you have to type in. You'll see it. And then the website, I don't want to reveal like the whole website and the login and stuff until end of week because we're just cleaning stuff. But it'll be sploot.something. It won't be .ai because I wanted it to be related to what we're building. And you'll be able to reach us there, and we'll have everything integrated and people can sign up.
Awesome. Thanks, Jonah. We'll spread this around and share the love, and hopefully a lot of people will discover the platform. I think what you're working on sounds super interesting. I want you to get the nerd version of it in place so that I can figure out some clips that we can redistribute out of these many streams that I'm doing. Like, I would use this platform if it kind of fit to my use case. So I 100% see the need for it because it's something we try to pull off just through like hands-on editing, and it just ends up being really time consuming and hard to do.
I can tell you so for businesses, we're starting at about $650 a month, and that's about 700 clips a month, which is about under $1 a clip. For creators, we're going to do probably 75 a month, and we're expecting anywhere from 100 to 300 clips a month.
Okay.
So it seems like a lot of, I mean, you'll probably find a few good videos out of 300 clips, I would think.
Absolutely. Okay, we're going to be checking it out. You heard that, Drew. You heard that, Ryan. You're looking at this stuff already. So let's figure it out and become a real world use case. For now, I'm going to have to be Max Headroom signing off, I guess, because I've got this weird jerky head movement thing going on because of the latency. But I guess the audio is coming across, so I can't quite figure out what's going on. But we're going to call it a day here on this live stream, and I hope a lot of you will come back. Tomorrow, we got a really cool conversation with Dith from Gigaverse, and we're going to talk about one of the games that's been getting a lot of attention in Web3 and learn all about that. So for now, you've been watching the Artificial Intelligence live stream. So grateful that all of you came here. We had well over 1,000 of you tune in, so that's awesome for me and my world. That's a hell of a big audience, and it's great to have you all here, and love to see some of the questions that you folks had. So if you were watching this in replay, by the way, join live next time. We'd love to have you live. But until then, Jonah, thank you so much for being here. It's been a pleasure, and hope to join you in a space or a live stream again soon.
100%. And I think what you're building is really awesome. And, you know, if you're going to be at Gamescom, let me buy you a drink.
I'll be at Gamescom.
Okay. I'll buy you a beer.
See you, Jonah. We'll all be there together. Okay. Take care, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks.